Hi,
Hi.
I don't know. Hang on, let me get this set up. I have no idea. Was nowhere and then it was everywhere.
I find sometimes when I send it directly through the Zoom, so I just put it in and send it through Zoom and I don't send a separate email, sometimes it just doesn't go.
I
I don't
think
know
that
why.
was what happened.
Technical difficulties. I gotta tell you, before we get started, didn't even realize this when I got dressed today before I came and saw you, the shirt I put on. So
Yeah,
this
be
is
a light.
Be a Light, and this is our biggest charity that we do every year in January. And it's in honor of Coach Amy's son that passed away. The charity event was started, oh gosh, we're 7 years ago, maybe eight,
Wow.
with Seven Valley CrossFit. And when Seven Valley CrossFit closed from COVID, there was a whole bunch of us that got together, and I was already toying with opening CrossFit Cortland. And we rented out a space at the JM McDonald Center, and we surprised Amy and her family with running the charity when there was no gym.
Wow.
So in the midst of COVID, we had over 40 people show up and do this charity event. And as we were walking out, this always makes me tear up. As we were walking out, Quentin looked at me, who wasn't really a big fan of CrossFit to begin with, and said, "Wow, this is really a community. This is a family. All right, let's do it." And it was like game on. And 2 months later, I opened CrossFit Cortland.
Holy smoke, that's
So I
amazing.
think this is amazing for our first episode to be wearing this shirt in honor of it.
I
So
love it.
I just took Coach Amy. I said, "Look what I'm wearing."
All
So
right, so do I look enough like a doctor? You think I need glasses?
no, no, I think you're good. I need to fix up my background here, but that's another day. All right, you ready? All right,
Yes.
it's recording, so let's start. Hey guys, I'm Amanda. I'm your host today. I am the owner of CrossFit Cortland and CFC Nutrition, and I am so excited for our very first episode to have athlete Mary with us today. Welcome, Mary.
Well, it's so nice to be here with you, Amanda.
I'm so excited to get into this. I want to give a little background on how you and I met, considering I just looked and about 92% of our athletes came to us because another athlete convinced them that this was the place to come to get your accountability, to get amazing workouts, and have awesome coaches. And that was no different with you and I.
Right.
So, a little background with how we met was I was starting our nutrition program, and I had athlete Jackie come in. And Jackie and I found out through talking that we had very similar health issues going on. And she goes to me, "You got to contact my friend Mary. You have to contact her. You have to talk to her." So, in a, all right, maybe I can get some health and wellness. I was like, all right, let's make this phone call. And you came to the gym, and my first impression was you were just coming to sell me your protein powder that you made, which is absolutely amazing. Completely is not 100% inaccurate, but we ended up finding out a mutual need we both needed. I needed help in my wellness, things that doctors weren't finding. In comes Dr. Mary into that, and you were finding the missing link of your fitness programs that you needed. So we ended up, after what, 2 hours of talking,
Yes.
we're now a year later. I just realized this on my drive home that we're a year we've been together.
Yes.
And I'm
It's a
honored
year.
to be able to not only call you my doctor, but also a friend to me that I've become quite confident with. So I'm so excited to talk about our whole journey that
Yeah.
has come with us. And it's even more impressive is that when we talk about how our athletes come from another athlete, you were brought to me by athlete Jackie. Athlete Jackie came to us from her son Connor.
Right.
Connor came because of his now beautiful wife Courtney, and I
Right.
can't wait to have Courtney on because I honestly can't remember who got her into the gym, but it's just been an amazing merriment of family that's at the gym.
Yes.
So with that, I want to ask you, you're a year now into CrossFit. What
Yes.
has CrossFit done for you specifically?
Well, first I want to acknowledge that who you are for me before I even answer that question. And so who you are for me is this person that I can be this interesting mentor or doctor for you, but also I can be the recipient of accountability and coaching. So you're like just this incredible coach and you mentor all of your coaches to do the same thing. So that has been really helpful to me. And so what CrossFit has done for me is, especially, I don't know that it's CrossFit in general, it's definitely CrossFit at CrossFit Cortland, is that I needed an accountability partner because I had a lot of wellness handled. So I had sleep handled and I had nutrition handled. And what I didn't have handled was being a consistent athlete, even though I've done a lot of uh, athletic activity over my lifetime while going to the gym or doing classes. I realized in a very short period of time, I'm a social exerciser. And so I love that I'm really in community at CrossFit Cortland. And that community has really been the thing that's the motivator for me to get to class because it's hard some days to get out of the house and go to class for 8 o'clock. And but I look forward to the community, to the support, to the camaraderie of this group of people. And what I realized, because I am an extrovert and I like people and all of that, but I hadn't found my tribe, if you will, that one that was as committed to exercising in this social environment where my own limitations are going to be honored. And so that's really the thing I think that I was treated as an individual inside of the class. I think that's very rare. I've been in a lot of classes before. I have never felt like uh, where I had individual support for my needs, but it wasn't just me. It was I noticed everyone in the class gets what they need individually. So my fear got alleviated because I think that's the thing, right? You can't get to the place that you haven't gone to if you don't feel safe. There's so much neuroscience about that. And so my nervous system is bizarrely calmed down when I walk in because I know I'm going to get supported. And if I hit the wall, so to speak, or I get to a place where I feel like I'm stuck, I'm going to be kindly, compassionately held accountable that I can do it. And if that one thing is not it, we're going to modify it so I can achieve the same goal and therefore not get hurt, right? That was my worry.
Biggest,
I don't want to get hurt. And I've never experienced that, not ever. Nor have
big,
I seen anybody else really experience that. So I think it's been pretty amazing.
except for myself when I push too much.
Well, you're
And you
your
were
own
there for
person
that.
to me.
Mary, do you mind me asking how old you are?
Not at all. I'll be 71 in approximately 2 months.
So exciting. So exciting. And I think what's been fantastic is that you came into a group uh, of members that we just had in the other day, and the average age of our 8 a.m. class that day was 79 and a half.
It's so exciting to be in that group. Like athlete Jackie is in her early 60s, and she was one of the younger people that was in that group in that 8 o'clock class that I started in. And I realized that there was someone here. Here I was. I was just about to turn 70, and here was somebody in the class that was 82, somebody that was
Yeah.
80, somebody that was 67. And so I was like, oh my goodness. I can be vibrant, which is really what I'm committed to, right? Is vibrancy. And when I do an event where I speak and I do postgraduate education and I can do squats and I say I do CrossFit and I say, look at my triceps, like I'm super excited about my triceps. That was my weak link. Um, it just what it provides for other women and other people, not just women, but men as well, is this is possible. I think the hard thing is when people don't know it's possible, they can't even strive for it because it seems so not likely. And so when I walked in that first day to that 8 o'clock class, and I was not the oldest person in the class, that was so exciting. And the encouragement I got from that group that it's going to be okay. Like all you can do is the PVC pipe and you cannot even lift the bar. That's where I started a year ago. And I can see how much further I've come from that's all I could do and what I can actually achieve today. It is about practice and consistency and doing all the things you have to do so that you can show up in the way you want to show up. So it's made me stronger in every aspect of my life.
Absolutely. And when we start to get to a certain age, it's not so much about building the strength, even though you're building that strength. We were just at an event the other day together, and a lady came over, mid upper 60s, I believe.
Yes.
And she's like, Mary just showed me her arms, and I want exactly whatever she's doing. Like, I want that right now. And it was such an awesome event. She's like, she showed me her arms, and I want that. Um, how did it feel, or how's it feel when you come to class and there's younger members there? Because our class isn't specific for 60 and over. We're not running a specific class. It just happened to work out that way. Some 8 a.m. classes are silver sneaker group coming in, but quite often you have members that are 20, 30 years old, 40 years old that are in class. Maybe they're lifting a lot heavier, going a little faster. How do you feel when you're in that class with somebody that's maybe pushing a little bit more than you're doing at that time?
I really love that. I taught for 30 years. So I have the inner teacher in me, right? And so that aspect of me being around younger people has kept me young. And I really love that. And the other thing that I get to deliver is that I get them to see that the path that they're on, they'll be even ahead of me when they're my age. And isn't that the whole thing about all these years I taught? I'm one of those people who, when I taught it, I walked both hills, both way to school, uphill, chewing glass, walking on nails. I really wanted to be like, how can I make it better for you? How can I get you there faster? And so to be in class with these younger women and men where I am providing this idea that what they're doing is our lifetime. And they come with their children, right? Some of the women are younger than my own child. And then they bring their kids there, and these kids are adorable. And so what we're doing is we're building generational wealth, so to speak. So there's a thing called generational wealth that as the parents buy a house, that's one of the biggest things that builds generational wealth. And I came from a poor family, food insecure as a child. So now that's a really, my parents didn't go to college we lived in an apartment and they didn't buy a house till I was, a late teenager. So that's a big deal, right? And I was able to build generational wealth though, because that's the beginning. That's what we're doing here, I think, at CrossFit.
Mhm.
We're building generational health. And that is huge because it doesn't matter what you're doing. You have to do, if you think it's going to be one thing, it's not one thing. The three big things are you're going to have to sleep, you must move, and you have to eat food. And so, but it's in that order, bizarrely. So sleep is number one, and movement
Yep.
is actually number two, and food is number three. And they know that, like that's the literature. So when I was eating really well, and I was sleeping, it didn't matter because my body comp wasn't as good. I wasn't
Mhm.
strong enough. I was thin enough, but I wasn't strong enough. And so that changed, right? And so uh, then what I gained was muscle mass. And what muscle mass does is it's up your metabolic rate. When it ups your metabolic rate, then you have more energy. When you have more energy, you get more done. And so then you're just more vibrant. And so you look younger, act younger because you're not exhausted. So it's critically important, I think. And so I just love the diversity in the class because I think that also all shapes and sizes, and you can be like, and then sometimes I watch someone else, I'm like, oh, they have better form than me. And then I'm a good monkey. So I'm like, oh, I better shift or do it that way because they know what they're doing. I want to be like that.
I love being in class with you, taking the class, because quite frequently that's happened a few times where you were maybe struggling with the movement. And I was like, hey, Mary, elbows here, shoot me with those elbows. And all of a sudden you're like, "Boop," corrected, and it's perfect. You're absolutely a perfect athlete to be able to coach and move. And you brought up two amazing points. And the first one I want to go back and touch on is the amazing moms that we have in
Yes.
CrossFit. Dads, we're not leaving you out. But we do have the moms that are bringing their kids. And one of the movements we just made with CrossFit, Corlin, I don't know if you're aware of this yet, is we've decided that the first child of the families get to have a free kid or teen membership with
Oh,
us, and then the second's half off, because we know CrossFit, it can get pricey, right? There's a lot that goes into it. You said it earlier, you quite frequently feel like you're getting one-on-one attention, and that's what it's all about. It doesn't matter if there's 20 people in the class, everybody gets individual attention. And with that, we know that that's an added charge for the kids. So instead of having the kids just sitting and hanging out in our awesome little sitting area, now they can get up and move too, and be a part of working out and building that health. Because we know that what we do in our 30s and 40s affects us when our 60s and 70s come up. We have to progress through those years and keep ourselves healthy. So you've done an amazing job with your wellness, and you're also perfect proof that starting at 70 years old, you still can gain, you could still grow. I think
yes.
the second part was the fact that you did gain muscle, and the fact that you are 70 and you still gain muscle. I love it. We have so many of our athletes. You talked about our oldest athlete, Bill, he's 82 years old. He didn't start till he was in his 70s as well. And he's still gaining, he's still hitting personal records and still moving. And he's like, I have to. If I sit still, I can't move the next day. So you're just an absolute proof that you could still improve your health even later in age. And I think that's absolutely amazing that you're getting those results.
Yeah, I mean, I think what's interesting is that I was always the cardio person. I love cardio. And so I've done a lot of cardio in my life. So it wasn't like I didn't do that, right? Because that was my thing. And whether it's in the 70s and I'm doing like aerobics wherever we're celebration, we're
Exercise.
doing the whole thing, right? Um, jazzercise, whatever I did, because I do love classes. But I think for me and a lot of women, the literature is that in cardio, women make endorphins, the emotion of joy, the runner's high. And men can make endorphins lifting weights. It's very uncommon for women to make endorphins lifting weights, but women love to be in a group. And so what happens is you make a different neurochemical, but that makes you actually feel really good and it keeps your nervous system regulated. And so women make the hormone of love, intriguingly, in a group when you do an activity called oxytocin. And so now what happens is it's really important to neurochemically be balanced. And so for men, they're just hitting the weights, they're making endorphins, they're making testosterone. And then the women are in community while they're working out. And the fact that their children are welcome is
Mhm.
huge, right? It's huge because women are responsible a lot of the time for the kids. And so now I can have what I need. I can put the oxygen mask on myself first because my kids are welcome. When I very first worked out back in the day in Ithaca and I had an infant, there was a gym in town that had in Ithaca that had a woman that I knew, and there was daycare for the kids.
Mhm.
And so that is why I was able to go back to the gym after I had a kid. So I knew that was possible. I still loved cardio though. And so I mostly did cardio on my own. So it's super interesting because, and I did have a coach. I had a personal coach at the time because I was like trying to recover from being pregnant. But what's interesting is my kid was there. My kid has exercised, but my kid started CrossFit after I started CrossFit, and he's in his 30s. So
That's
now he's
amazing. You never told
regular.
me that.
because I didn't know till recently when I saw him over the weekend. The gym that he goes to, speaking of our protein powder, they're big users out of the gate, and he's now committed. He would go on and off to that gym, but now he goes really regularly and he asked me, "Are you still going?" And as soon as I say yes, I like that inspires him to go because
Yeah.
he sees how much more he wanted me to be stronger. He didn't want me to not stay well because it's there's people in our family that are not well, and
Mhm.
so he didn't want that for me, and so then he saw for himself. So that just happened. He just started going very regularly.
That's amazing. Well, tell him I'm going to yell at him for not following his own advice because I remember that conversation a year ago at the gym when you're like, my son really wants me to do this. He thinks this would be fantastic for me. He wants me to join right now. You kind of gave me a little song and dance about logistics. And I'm like, no, knock it off. You're coming on Tuesday and Thursdays at 8 a.m. Let's get you started 2 days a week. And then we'll build from there. And you were just like, oh, I don't, okay. And so if I said, your son thinks it'd be good for you, I know it's going to be good for you. So tell him, good job for finally
Yeah, I
doing what
mean,
he
he
spoke.
had started at that gym, and that's why he told me I need to go. So he was doing it then, but he was very inconsistent because of this.
Consistency matters.
He's saw my commitment. He knows how much I work. And so he realized he was going to be able to fit it in also. I think he had to get there himself.
Mhm.
And so I didn't say I really actually didn't do anything but show up as this person. And that is what changed things.
That's definitely something that I've found. I can talk till I'm blue in the face at how well CrossFit is and how well it's going to do for you, but you have to come see it. You have to come experience it and you have to be consistent. So let's talk about that because you are extremely busy. You're a small business owner that's relatively newer. I mean, you've had it for a little bit, but it's relatively newer. You've been a doctor for what, over 40 years?
Yeah, the business is only 3 years. We've only been in business for 3 years. We're a startup. I bootstrapped that myself and then we raised capital. But I've been a chiropractor since 1988. And so that's a long time.
Yeah, so busy. You taught chiropractic, you um
Yeah,
practiced it, you started your own business, which is absolutely amazing. So at 67, 68, you started your
yeah.
small business, which I think is absolutely amazing. We know I switched careers and opened up businesses, and I think it's so amazing. But you get busy. So let's talk about when you're not coming, what happens when you're not coming?
Well, I have been pretty consistent. Mostly if I'm not there, it's because I'm out of town. So I'm out of town for business. If I'm in town, I've been pretty consistently going. But I do notice an interesting thing. When I'm out of town, I'm usually giving a talk or doing whatever, likely at a hotel. I notice I get up and go to the gym. So doing my cardio, of course, because I love that. And I'm not good at doing the weights without a coach because I feel like my form is terrible. But at least I did notice because I was in Niagara Falls as a speaker at a post-grad event, and I did get up early enough to go to the gym. And so it's changed my habits. It's made it a priority. I did get what it has really delivered for me. And then I was like, I don't really want to go back to the where I was before. So I think it's you start to get to a point where you miss it if you don't have it. And so I think and I never thought that would be who I would end up being because I wasn't an athlete as a child. I was a bookworm and I was, I was a run around kid, but I was although I did do a couple little things. I don't know, I think I did the people that go with the marching bands. I had the pom poms. That was a thing as a kid. So I did do that kind of stuff, but I wasn't an actual athlete. Like I was friends with the athletes, but I would never have said I'm an athlete. And now I feel like I am an athlete.
Yes, 100%. I want to talk about why I know why it's so important that people, especially 50 and over, are lifting weights. They're doing CrossFit. CrossFit can be very scary for anybody to start. especially somebody that's over 50, I'm gonna say, because of the fear of getting hurt, right? You
Yeah.
watch it online, you see these guys lifting ridiculously heavy weights with super cool six packs. Um, but when you come to CrossFit Cortland, are you seeing that?
No, I'm not seeing, I'm seeing guys there who are
Yeah,
fit and they can lift a lot of weight, but I think it's just very welcoming. And you realize that, especially because it is such a mixed class, and some people can lift a lot, but you don't feel like you have to, it's not competitive,
yeah,
it's supportive. And so there's really this level of support. So if you're the person who ends last, everybody claps for you,
yeah.
everyone waits for you. And that is just something that I wasn't used to. So the importance for being over 50, especially postmenopausal women, it's just going to really regulate your hormones. It's going to help build muscle mass, whether a man or a woman. And over 50, your likelihood you're going to start losing muscle if you don't, you can't even maintain, if you don't stay, if you don't use it, you lose it.
Hmm.
It's critically important. And I knew that. See, that's the thing. It's not like I didn't know the literature. I taught biochemistry and physiology at the chiropractic college. I didn't teach chiropractic manipulation. I taught science. So I knew the science that if you do not keep your muscle mass up, your metabolic rate goes down. And that's just not a sign of health for men or women. And at 50, that's when it really starts. Women go through menopause, but men go through a thing called andropause. So everybody's having a hormonal problem. And so it's really your body comp that matters. So lifting weights is critical when you're at that age, or you're not going to be able to maintain. But the literature also says that you can keep on building muscle mass forever. They've done a study with whoever would go, but even people in their 80s can still build muscle mass. That's not like it's not, you don't, it doesn't time out. And so I think that's the critical thing to really get that, when you're a kid, maybe you naturally did what they call now non-exercise activity thermogenesis. You were just more active, maybe you lifted things in your job or did whatever. But now there comes a point where you're going to have to be more intentional. You're going to have to really do what it's going to take to keep that muscle mass up. So I think for everyone, it's just great because like this morning when I was in class, uh, there's sometimes everybody's sort of like there's a lot of chatter, and today was quite quiet. And so if you're the quiet person, you can be the quiet person. If you're the chatter person, you can hang out with the chatter people. And so, but at the same time, I've never once felt that it was competitive, like, oh, you're doing that, so I got to do more,
Hmm.
but I have felt pushed. So, like, go ahead, put 2.5 more pounds on that bar. So that feels manageable. It's not
Hmm.
like put 10 more pounds on, put two and a
Right.
half more pounds on. And so that all of a sudden opens the door to incremental small improvements over time add up. And so it's really, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. I've definitely experienced that at CrossFit Cortland.
Yeah, it's definitely not a sprint. It's a marathon. It
Yeah,
takes time. I think that also focusing in on the fact of when we hit a certain age, it's okay that we're not doing that workout that's necessarily written on the board. And I think that's what's the amazing part of having a class that could be so diverse is that, maybe I'm lifting 250 pounds and you're lifting 55, but it doesn't matter. We're doing the same workout.
correct.
And the more that you can build that muscle, we're focusing on maybe the focus changes. Maybe my focus is I really want to build the strength right now. But your focus is maybe starting to get to the fact of you want to go as long as you can, being able to sit and get off the toilet on your own, right? Because we know that's a huge factor as we get older. And the difference between living independently and living with assistance is the fact of how was your muscle mass? How did you treat your bones and your body that you can get off the floor if you fall down? Hello, burpees, right? But we're teaching you more, not necessarily getting down to the floor fast and back up, but maybe how to get yourself and build that strength to get off the floor when you fall down, because inevitably it's going to happen, right? And
Well,
I,
yeah, go ahead. One of my favorite books is Atul Gawande's book. It's called Being Mortal. And in that book, Being Mortal, it is about, we are going to, our life is not infinite. And
Mhm.
what we want to do is be as vibrant and as healthy as we can to the very end. And so, what is fascinating to me is what are the predictors of what's called all-cause morbidity or mortality mean? What are all causes of getting sick or dying? So they spent $1 million at the VA to figure out what tests they should run. And you know what works? It's this really crazy test called Get Up and Go. Can I get up out of a chair and walk 20 feet in a certain amount of time? And if I can get up without having to push myself up out of the chair, I can just get up and go, then that is the number one predictor of whether you're going to get sick or you're going to die. That's a no cost test. So you can easily do it. The second thing of preventing falls is, can I stand on one leg?
Mhm.
Because when I walk, one leg is in the air when I'm walking. And if I can't stand on one leg, then the likelihood is I'm going to fall. So for fall prevention, much as I don't love Frankensteins, they are incredibly important for being able to predict my capacity not to fall. And so there's all of this balance that you do in the warm up that's critical to make sure that I can move my wrists 100%, I can move my ankles, I can stand on one leg, I have some flexibility, I can get on the floor and get back up. All of those things are really, really important for vibrant aging and for staying vibrant to the end, right? We want to go like this and then one day it's over, not like I'm on this horrible decline and I'm going to spend a whole bunch of time miserable. And that I think is hard. When people say it's hard to exercise, well, it's really hard to not be able to get up and get off the couch and have your life. Or in my age group, you have grandchildren and you can't get down on the floor and play with them, or you're not strong enough to lift the baby. Like, who wants that? I want to be able to do that. I don't have grandchildren yet, but I have nieces and nephews that are quite, that were young, and I was able to do that. I think you have to ask yourself, what is it I want to be able to do? And so I want to be able to be physically active. That's important to me. I want to be able to live on my own. I want to be able to drive. All these things that you need muscle mass for.
Absolutely. You rounded that all together. That's absolutely amazing. I have to laugh because the test that you just talked about, my husband being a smart aleck that he is, I was dealing with an injury that did require me to push off to get up out of a chair. And he goes, "Hey guys," to our two almost 12-year-olds, "Hey, can you get up without pushing off?" And the kids are like, "Yep." And they run. And my husband gets up and runs. And I'm like, "Hey, you know what? That wasn't very fair." He's like, "Well, guess you're going to die soon." I'm like, I'm younger than you. I'm not going anywhere. But he had me do that test, which I thought was great that he actually brought it up. But that is the amazing part, is that we have assistance to help individuals that need the help. We work with actually several adaptive athletes, and we have equipment to help adaptive athletes, which also transfers to members that are out of shape when they come to us, because you don't need to be in shape to go to CrossFit. Members that do have limitations, or just our older folks that are 50 and above and they've never done any exercise. We have ways to bring them into the fitness world and build up their strength. And I loved you talked about, getting on the ground and playing with your grandkids, because one of our athletes, it's actually one of our coaches' mother-in-law. She came to us and she goes, "I want to be able to get on the ground and play with my grandkids. I want to be the fun grandmother." And let me tell you, it brings a tear to my eye every time I think about it, of how far she has come. And she has done such an amazing job. And I saw her at the gym with her granddaughter on the floor playing with her, getting her up, walking with her, carrying her car seat. And when she came to us, she could not get up and down off the floor. So she truly made a full transformation for the benefit of being with her grandkids. And heck, I tell my kids I'm going to keep working out this way because I want to live old enough to be inconvenient to them. So
Exactly, right. But I think that's the thing. If for some women, women in general have sometimes trouble putting themselves first, right? No matter
Yes.
you're here, put the oxygen mask on yourself, blah, blah, you can't take care of other people if you don't take care of yourself. But a lot of us, especially in my age group, we were raised to just be of service to everyone and everything. And so it's very hard to make time or make ourselves the focus. So if that's a thing that's standing in your way, I would say do it for your kids, do it for your grandkids, do it for your spouse so that you do not become unable to do what you need to do. And I think that, if that's the thing that's going to get you there, I think eventually you'll get to another place where you see the value for yourself. And I was there myself initially, like you and I talked about that, like, why couldn't I get there myself? Because I was focusing on others and I was not able to focus on myself. It's not something I learned, but over time, I was like, wait, I can do this for myself, not just for others. So I did come in really doing it for others. I didn't come in doing it for myself.
You did
And, but
100%.
there's something about when you have more energy, you realize you are doing it for yourself. And then all of a sudden something shifts and then your life shifts, right? Because now all of a sudden you can make better choices about everything because it's from a place of being self in your center, not being
Mhm.
self-centered, that you're really centered in yourself. And that then makes you a better decision maker. It makes you more confident in just every way that you show up. And it makes you more relatable because you have more space for others when you're secure in yourself. And so I've seen all of that growth for me after being at the gym.
I love that. You completely tied everything that we talk about all up in a nice little bow there. We're so adamant with especially moms, and I'm not leaving the guys out by any means, but let's face it, as being a mom, I could speak from being a mom, right? Get the kids off, get them to daycare, get them here, get them there. Now they're into the sports and stuff. And that's why I get up at 4:30 in the morning so I could take care of the me time. Sure, I'm completely exhausted and going to bed before them at this point at nighttime, but it's the me time and me wanting to be the healthiest version of myself for
Yeah.
them. And I want to show them that, they didn't have a mom that was more worried about, the makeup and the looks, but the mom that was more worried about that I can lift those groceries and I can, go play sports with them and, chase after them. I told them up until the other day, they finally beat me. But I said my goal was to keep training as hard as I could, that they couldn't beat me running or doing a workout. They're catching up to me really quick. So I have to up my game. But we want moms to feel empowered. We want them to feel welcomed and find their new self. So many people start a workout program, and the only reason why they're doing it is because they want to lose weight. In comes the nonstop cardio that doesn't build that muscle that they need, right?
Exactly.
And they just go nonstop cardio and they're not getting the results they want. And we want moms to come in and just find who they are and find their strength, both physically and mentally. And that's why we give a space for the kids to be there, because if that's your holdup, if that's your excuse, we're taking that excuse away from you. If your excuse is you don't have the time, we give you 6 classes a day to take that excuse away from you. You've come to me with excuses before and whoop, nope, stop. Your excuse is done. I can't do the bike because I like to do the rower. Great, get on the bike. That seat doesn't fit me right. Great, there's another seat right there that's different. Go ahead and stuff. And that's, taking you out of your comfort zone, but finding your inner strength that's going to keep you moving forward and just show your kids that the well-being of yourself and them is the most important thing.
Well, I think it's about modeling, right? So if you have, I had a mother who modeled total and complete self-sacrifice. So did that work out for her? She died young, right? Because she did not make her own health a priority. She had a lot of health problems. She was didn't know how to be well, and she just gave everything to everyone and at her own expense. And that's really common for women. And there's all kinds of stuff around that, right? But what happens is me shifting so that making my health a priority, making what I needed to do so that I could show up fully in the world. Then what that opened up is then I'm going to get rid of that old message that you shouldn't focus on not, oh, I just want. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about truly being committed that you're going to take care of this incredible body that we've been given. It's really a vessel, right, for our intellect, but also our spiritual health. And so now what we're doing is we're showing the next generation that this is worthwhile, that this is my thing I love to explain when my patients get confused or what they should be doing. I say, do you have a dog or a horse? Would you, in fact, not let your dog sleep? Would you not take your dog out for a walk? Would you feed your dog junk? So why would you not take care of your own animal body at the same level that you're taking care of your beloved dog? And that's really what changed for me. When I started treating my body as a beloved dog, so to speak, this is the thing getting me around, or beloved horse. This is the thing that is carrying me around, is this body. So I'm going to treat it like a beloved animal that it is. It has its own animal needs. And those three needs are to sleep and to exercise, to move, and to eat food, not junk. And so that's really what I'm committed to, just sort of being as good to me as many people are to their pets.
Yeah, that is a perfect wrap up to this whole series. I think that so many women think of it as being selfish to go
Right.
and take care of themselves and take care of themselves first because they think motherhood's the first part. You love your children. I think it's more selfish for you to let yourself go and be incapable of taking care of yourself later in life, that your kids have to take care of you, as opposed to taking time now to take care of yourself so that you can be healthier longer for your kids. And I think when you stop and think about it that way, that you have to take care of yourself first and foremost. You don't want to feed your kids candy for breakfast. Why are you eating candy for breakfast? Right? And the same thing goes. So I think that's an absolute amazing wrap up to this whole talk.
Thanks. Yeah.
There. Well, we're so appreciative to have you and love having you at the gym. Can't wait to get you coming even more.
Yes, too.
When we get you all moved and settled in. I'm gonna put in our link for Mary's protein. It took many, many years. We've been open almost 5 years now to find a protein that we wanted to offer to our athletes that we felt was clean, it was sustainable, it was healthy. It wasn't with a bunch of fillers. And in came Mary into the equation. Mary, give us a really quick brief about your protein. We're going to add the link into the notes at the end of the show for you. But Mary, talk really quickly about your protein that you have.
So what I wanted was, we affectionately called it a one and done because I'm busy, right? And so I think you should eat 3 healthy meals a day. And that I found impossible even for me who meal preps. And so I want to take one of the meals per day out of the equation. So reduce your fatigue, your decision fatigue, by 1/3. And so what you need actually is what are called the macronutrients. You need protein, you need fiber, you need good fats. So they're all in there. So that's where it's the protein part, but it also has fiber. But the other thing is there's not a lot of great multivitamins out there. And I am a nutritionist by training. I'm a master's in nutrition. I used to be the dean of nutrition. I'm a biochemist by training. So I wanted to make the best vitamin, because when you put vitamins in with food, the body experiences it as those vitamins were in the food and you absorb them better. And the other thing is, so now I did protein, I did fiber, I did fats, I did vitamins. And most people have joint pain as they age. And most chronic diseases, all chronic diseases, are due to inflammation. And so the literature shows that turmeric and ginger are the best things when they're taken together to reduce that. So I put those in there too, so you don't have to think about that. And then finally, I put in cinnamon because a lot of people have trouble with their blood sugar handling. So I try to put everything in there in a one and done, but the right ratio and the right things, with thousands of hours of research. And then we did run a study. So I really want people to get that there's a heart-centered thing that I did. I did it so that it makes your life easier, but it is organic. I'm very careful about sourcing it. I know where it's sourced from. I'm check everything twice. As they say, measure twice, cut once. So we have it tested at the facility, at where the thing is made. They give us a certificate of analysis, but we check everything again so that we know that they're telling us what it is. So I think you want to be careful about what you put in your body. And so, but you can't do the research yourself. So I love research. So I did the research to make sure that this is actually going to work.
And the name of your protein is?
Potential Power Nutrition, and it's a breakfast blend. It comes in chocolate and vanilla, and it's mostly organic so that we know, but I can tell you for sure, no pesticides, and it's also hypoallergenic.
And the amazing part is any of you that are watching that are from the Cortland, New York area, Mary is out of Ithaca, New York. So our neighbors, 15 minutes away, this was developed. It's local, it's done by a local person, it's organic, it's healthy. We have it right at the gym for you. We also have it at the coffee shop upstairs. It is the first protein in about 10 years that I've been able to take that didn't cause stomach issues. So I thank you for that.
You're welcome. Me too.
Well, thank you for joining us today. We value having you around. I value in my life. I can't wait to see you at the gym later this week.
Yes, I'll be there.
Have a great day.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Wait.